Please subscribe to help you and your motorcycle perform better.
Let's have a think about some learning we've done with our Ninja, and we'll turn those into little Ninja nuggets. No, they're not edible. As always with this channel, it's information that you can use. Through this project so far, and we're not at the end yet, we've still got something else to do, which I'll explain at the end. In looking at the motorcycle as we purchased it from Roseville Motorsports, rideable from the beginning with a stock shock? Sure. Not a problem at all. Crank the preload up for me at 200 pounds to one from the top. 3. Take the fork oil out, put heavier weight oil in, 15 or 20 depending on your type of use. And the bike's really fun. It's actually a lot of fun. So if you're going to commute, you're riding around an urban environment, you're going out in the twisties on the weekend, you're just generally going to use your Ninja 400 for a multitude of things, then it's going to be a wonderful motorcycle. And under no estimate should anyone think that this is not up to the job because it's only got 40 horsepower. Yes, 40 horsepower has limitations, but the fun factor far outweighs what you can get out of this bike without having 100 horsepower, for example. Now, to my way of thinking with this motorcycle when it was purchased, and now we're at anywhere from, I heard as high as $9 a gallon in Los Angeles, this bike becomes even more of a need in an economic crisis where fuel's going through the roof and we need miles per gallon. But also we need a little bit of fun to go with it. To date, this bike has never had anything in terms of my experience with it that's been a negative. If there have been things that need to be fixed, we fixed them. And so the cheapest route was a stock shock, as previously mentioned, all the way up to the top, minus one step, 15 or 20 weight oil in the forks, and go have fun. It's going to be great. That fork oil will last you, depending on how you use it in the roads you ride on, somewhere between 2,000 miles, say 3,000 kilometers. And at that point, you'll just replace the fork oil, use the dump and run video, but you'll just replace the fork oil and do it again because they're not adjustable. So as that fork oil ages and rebound goes back to being a pogo stick, change the oil. Here in the US, that fork oil is $20 retail. Super cheap, a couple hours of work, and your bike's back to handling flawlessly for what it is stock. So at that point, again, depending on you, your anatomy, your inseam, your shoe size, your spine length, your arm length, your hand size, all those other little factors, can you adapt to this motorcycle? Well, yeah, you can. If you're over 6 feet, that might be an ask. It might be a serious ask on your knees. If you're bigger than a size 11 shoe, yeah, it's going to be awkward. But at that point, you can still adapt and ride it. Clearly, I am not in the business of adapting at all. And because I'm cheap and, relatively speaking, lazy, then the process of making this bike more comfortable to me has been a series of warranted expenditures at excellent price points through various manufacturers to get the bike to where I want it to be. As yet, as mentioned, the forks haven't been touched, and that will be what we deal with next. But changing out the rear shock at a cost of $60, plus the parts from Norton Motorsports that have already gone ahead and engineered everything for you, plus all the case-saving parts from T-Rex, just in case it goes down to protect the engine and other parts, as well as lessons along the way, especially with the fuel line and the plastic attachment that you have to be so careful with if you're going to lift the tank up. Outside of that, this bike is so easy to work on that if you have a couple of simple tools, there's a lot of stuff you can do very quickly here. And that's the great part about having a small bike like this, where working on it's quick, efficient, and easy. So as an overall statement, height dependent, of course, most of the population can jump on this bike stock, and with a fork oil change and set the shock properly, get away with adapting to the bike fairly substantially at times, but it'll still work. And it'll still give you excellent miles to gallon. It will still give you really good performance. It'll cruise all day at 70 miles an hour, which is what, 50s, 80s, so split that 100 Ks an hour. Doesn't have a problem with it at all. So from a base entry level point, go buy one. What are you waiting for? All you will do is smile and laugh while you ride this bike. Then if you want to make upgrades, sure. Yeah, upgrades matter. And what you buy also matters a great deal. Handlebars, well, if your spine is long and your arms are long, that triangle, you want to push the handlebar forward of you. So the clip-ons that you purchase that allow the handlebar to go in front of the fork will accommodate you if you're long in spine and long in arms. If you are short in spine and arms but long in leg, then those handlebars can come in the middle of the bar with the attachment, or they can come very close to the front of the handlebar to close that gap up. Because one of the measurements people don't take is belly button to steering stem. And that's really important because too long, 24 inches, that's a long reach, and your shoulder blades are actually opening up and your elbows lift up and your wrists turn in because it's so far to get to the handlebars. If that's the reverse issue where you're just crunched in and your elbows are tucked against your torso, then the handlebars need to move forward. So a simple pair of bars, as we've used with ours to get ourselves into position where we want to be, is a great cheap investment to have everything set correctly. Would it be nice to get more angle on the brake? Sure, because our stock master cylinder is a cast piece. So it will hit the handlebar assembly or the triple clamp and lock, and that is as much as you get. So if you were to change that to a regular radial master cylinder and fabricate a simple mount by drilling and tapping the upper triple clamp and then mounting the remote reservoir, you could get your down angle not a problem at all. Is that worth your time? Is that worth your investment to get what you're looking for in terms of brakes and braking? And certainly the taller you are, the steeper that angle's got to go with your forearm and hand. So at that point, can you get your forearm and hand straight? If the answer is yes, then that expenditure is not required. If that answer is no, then that's a problem. If that's an issue where your hand is still here to go get the brake, then there's the issue of your thumb hooking underneath so your finger's clear, which will apply the throttle, and then you've got all that time delay plus potential acceleration before you then go for your brakes. So rather than respond to a braking situation, you are reacting to it because there's a period of time there with the throttle on and your fingers coming back where you are not applying the brake lever. Let's move back a little bit. Brake lines, they're still rubber. Do I need to change those? No. It's a small bike. It doesn't go that fast. Even on the racetrack, testing out tires, geometry settings with the shock, I didn't run out of brakes. I didn't feel the rubber brake line expand and the handlebar come closer to the grip. The lines are brand new. The rubber's not going to fade for quite some time. Maybe 5 years, or if it's in use every day and it sits in the sun every day, maybe in 3 years. So to me, brake lines, steel braided variety, not worth the money. To me, your motorcycle, your use, your choice, but I'd rather spend my money elsewhere. Now for me, that elsewhere was to go to Rearsets and actually have the ability to get my knee at the right angle, to get my feet ergonomically correct, where my ankle and my ball and socket joint of my hip were perfectly in alignment. Doing that made me incredibly comfortable on the motorcycle. Would I like to do more? Yeah, probably, but it won't be with the Rearsets because I've got the adjustability in the shifter, I can position the brake lever where I want it, and because of that, in shifting that brake lever, all is well with the wheel, so I don't have to worry about anything. Would I do something different? Actually, yeah, I would. I'd take the stock seat out and put probably an inch, 2.5 centimeters of foam on top of it and have it recovered, because at 30 inches inseam, it's a little, I feel like I'm a little too sat in the bike. I'd like to be a little higher so that moving around the bike doesn't involve standing up first to move. Did we change the gearing? No. If you want to get more fuel economy, could you drop the rear a couple of teeth and bring the front up a tooth? Sure you could. But that messes with the speedometer, so are you going to do the research to find the right speeds or the right RPMs so you know you're not going to get a speeding ticket? So for me, the gearing, I would never change that at this point. I would just figure out what I needed. If I needed to change it, I'd want a justification as to why. I'm not going to go to a bicycle chain and sprockets on the track. I'm going to use what I've got. It's durable, it lasts, it's not going to break, and if I'm going to turn better lap times, I'll do that by being a better rider, not by taking weight off the bike. Yes, it helps, sure, if you're going for a championship and you're trying to win, but if you're 100 pounds, so that will be what, 45 kilograms heavier than the people you're racing with, probably not the class for you. Having done that most of my life with small bikes, unless you're really willing to commit to that, it's a ton of work. And you've got to be so good in how you ride that bike, and the setup's got to be perfect. So let's review our nuggets. Forks and fork oil. Find what you need, make a change, get it right, change it frequently so that rebound doesn't turn into a pogo stick and become a pain in the neck. Handlebars, find the right ones for you that work based on your spine and arm length. Rear sets, go ahead and find a set that have the adjustability needed for your shoe size on the shifter and for the brake size so that you can get your feet placed perfectly, and also elevation in the peg so that you're getting your knee angle correct along with your ankle dead straight and in line with your hip joint. And then rear shock, buy the parts from Norton Motorsports. Go find a Suzuki 600 or 750 shock, 2013 I believe, and bolt it up. Get the job done, get rid of the stock shock in terms of replace it, and if you're going to sell the bike, put the stock shock back in and sell your GSXR shock for the money you pay for it, maybe even a little bit more, because now you've dialed that bike into your weight and settings and. So there's some value add there. Rear spools from T-Rex were great because now I can work on the bike all day. It's simple, it's quick, they bolt right on. It's easy for the pitbull rear stand to fit right in. So chain maintenance, cleaning, wheel cleaning, all that good stuff, it's there. And then the crash protection from T-Rex to cover both sides of the cases in case of a spillage and the wrong parts coming in contact with the ground all day long. Very, very cheap insurance to make sure that that rapid prototype Delron, when it hits the ground, it's going to take a while before it gets close to the engine mount. Very cheap insurance, perfect to do. Brake lines? No. Spend your money elsewhere. Even in a racing application and using this at the track, I still didn't find the need for brake lines. And while I'm not a fast Ninja 400 rider because I barely spend any time on it, I can still run a decent lap time. And realistically, this bike is all about momentum. Yes, braking is a big part of your lap time, but on a small bike with 40 horsepower, momentum is everything. Literally everything. So at that point, can you help yourself? Can you get the parts you need? Can you use these ninja nuggets to budget out what you want and why? And in doing that budgeting, get exactly what you need with great value from manufacturers that have spent a lot of time producing products for this bike. to make that motorcycle work really, really well for you. So for now, there's your Ninja Nuggets. Ninja? Wow. I have no idea what that means. N-I-G. Oh well, maybe I should have an afternoon cup of tea. What's left? Front forks. What am I going to do there? I'm looking around. I'm doing some investigation on parts, on components. What's out there for me that's going to give me the best return on my investment? And that return on investment is going to be a difference between adjustability in having preload only, or do I buy a set of inserts that allow me to have preload, rebound, and compression? Now again, if you're going to invest a lot of money, are you going to get the ROI on the front forks in terms of the performance and handling of the motorcycle and durability matching? Usually cartridge upgrades are reserved for the racetrack because you're going to track days and you're going to push the motorcycle and you're going to learn new skills and you're going to improve and you're going to learn some new skills. Is it worth the money? Will preload adjusters and 15 weight oil suffice given your ability versus a $600, about $600 set of inserts to go in the forks to make it fully adjustable like the rear shock?